From the Weather NorCal Command Center, this is your morning update.
Dennis's Heating and Air Conditioning is Northern California's premier heating and air conditioning contractor. From residential housing, large commercial projects, installation to repair, sheet metal fabrication, and everything in between, we are your go-to heating and air conditioning specialist.
Good morning, everyone. It definitely wasn't a bad start to the work week, was it? Temperatures mainly in the 80s for the valley here. We got to see some sunshine for the coast, but I do expect temperatures to start to work their way up. I mean, you knew it wasn't going to last forever, right? We've got a bit of a mini heat wave that will arrive later this week and will peak sometime near the end of the week, going into the weekend before temperatures do start to drop. But another thing that I'm watching is some monsoon moisture that could work its way up the spine of the Sierra, Southern Cascades, and we're talking about the chance for some mountain thunderstorms here as early as this weekend and going into early next week. Yeah, we got some things, a few things to talk about. Before we get to that longer range and deeper dive forecast, here's a look at your Krueger's Quickcast for your Tuesday, August 19th. Now, for this morning, it's going to be another fairly cool start to the day. We're talking mid-60s in the valley at 8 o'clock this morning, mainly 50s for most of the higher elevations of the coast. Seeing some of that patchy fog, but I do expect a lot of that to move on out here even before noon. So the area of low pressure, you can clearly see it spinning over the Gulf of Alaska. That is starting to work its way into parts of Canada. And we've also got heat and monsoon moisture, by the way, coming in from the desert southwest. We'll get into that monsoon moisture thing a little bit later, but temperatures are starting to creep upwards, right? We're seeing the low to even some mid-90s for the valley today. Temperatures 80s and even some low 90s for places like Trinity County, for example, and inland around 90. For the coast, still looking at the cooler temperatures, low to mid-60s there for those daytime highs. So we look at the 7-day forecast, and I mean, the temperatures really do spike pretty quickly, as a matter of fact. We're talking 106 by Thursday, and really between 105 to 106 for Redding all the way through the weekend. By early next week, you're seeing those signs of those temperatures starting to drop, but still quite hot to start off next work week. For the coast, temperatures mid to even some upper 60s, especially later this week. Inland, you're going to be up to about 100 degrees by the time you do get into Thursday, as well as Trinity County. Temperatures getting even warmer after that, approaching the weekend. And for Siskiyou, Modoc County, Eastern Mountains, and yes, you can see that in the forecast. I have included a chance for some thunderstorms as early as this weekend, especially for Modoc County, Lassen, and Plumas counties. Otherwise, we're going to have to hold off until Monday for places like Siskiyou County, even Trinity County, possibly getting in on that action as well by the time we do get into, say, Monday of next week. All right, that's a look at your Krueger's Quickcast. And here's a quick look at what's going on with the fires. There's not much more to report here. So we're going to start off by taking a look at the fire tracker. You can't really see anything, but you zoom in, yeah, there's a little bit of activity we need to talk about. Still the Big Cliff fire as of 8:15, so as of about 4 days ago, no new reports coming in. 971 acres and 45% contained. Nothing to report on the Green Fire because that's 100% contained. Don't need to worry about that. The Orleans complex as of 8:14, August 14th, 22,144 acres at 88% containment. Again, these are things we don't necessarily have to be too terribly concerned about. The winds, I'm not concerned about just yet. However, what we're starting to see happen here, as we go into Wednesday morning, more of a north wind, still a tad breezy for your Wednesday morning and afternoon, but still mainly staying below 20 miles per hour. So nothing terribly concerning when we're talking about the winds, although they may begin to pick up here for your Thursday morning, even midday a little bit more. What this means is our fire weather risk will start to increase. Much like yesterday, still in that low to moderate range, but we're more within that moderate range for today in the valley. By the time we get into Wednesday, now we're getting the moderate to high range. Why? Because temperatures are starting to increase. It's getting hotter, and as a result, it's also getting drier out there. And by Thursday, already looking at that high range by midday. Once again, north winds a little bit on the breezy side. Humidity is going to be low and it's going to be rather hot. You remember seeing those temperatures upwards of 105 degrees, especially for the north end of the valley. So that's a look at the Krueger's Quickcast, latest on what's going on with the fires here. Let's talk about the free 24-hour streaming channel. Yeah, that's a great resource. If you're a small business and have a waiting room and you're paying for a cable subscription, you don't need to do that. People love the weather. especially local weather. And I've got a 24-hour streaming channel where weather nerds can geek out. They can see the latest conditions, the latest 7-day forecast for 10 different locations, the current conditions for different locations. We've got regular updates that come up on there, the neighborhood forecast for 6 different areas for all of Northern California. Also some fun programming. We've got an ag report. Also on there, we've got the pet of the week, the works. So you can watch it very easily from any of the platforms that are available for Weather NorCal, whether it's weathernorcal.com, the free Weather NorCal app, Roku, Amazon Fire Stick. Just search for Weather NorCal, space between Weather NorCal, and you can watch the 24-hour channel there. Now, if you don't have either of these devices, no need to worry, because most likely, if you just recently bought your TV within the last even 5 years, most likely it's a smart TV. You can connect it to the internet, and most likely that smart TV also has the YouTube app, and you can watch the 24-hour channel there. And the cool thing that I like best about the YouTube app is no matter where you're watching, even your smart TV, you can watch the latest video forecast. So check out that 24-hour streaming channel and the YouTube channel. It's really a great place for you to get all the information you need from Weather NorCal. Okay, so let's get you right into it. So once again, a couple of things that I'm watching right now. Number one is this. This is the cooler air that kind of started off the week fairly cool. That's going to be moving to the north and east into Canada. Meanwhile, you see the clockwise spin. There's all the monsoon moisture, but there's also heat over the desert southwest. That is going to be slowly building in our direction, and as a result, it's going to start to heat up. So there's that mild air moving to the north. This heat, you see how it's just kind of moving closer to us. As a result, it's expanding, it's getting larger, and we're seeing those temperatures start to increase. Got my eyes on this. We'll keep our eyes on this because this is going to impact our weather probably not until around next week. But you see by Saturday, now we're really starting to see that heat expand. Now, I mean, by the end of the week, this weekend, this is what I was talking about, 105 to 106 for some of the warmer spots in the valley. But by the time we start going into early next week, we're going to start to see this begin to kind of expand a little bit closer to us. This ridge of high pressure is going to start to show signs of weakening, and as a result, our temperatures will start to slowly drop going through a good portion of next week. So we take a look at the 10-day trend, and there it is, right? I mean, it's still not that bad today, but we're back up over 100 degrees for Redding by Wednesday, and there's that 105 to 106 through the weekend. Temperatures ticking downward going through next week. All right, let's take a look at Futurecast here. And in the coast, you're going to be looking at another gorgeous day. I mean, you're talking mainly sunny skies, a couple of afternoon cumulus clouds, especially in Siskiyou County. I mean, just a gorgeous day. But by tomorrow morning, yeah, that fog returns. But look at this. By Wednesday afternoon, a lot of that fog will dissipate. We'll call it partly to mostly cloudy skies in Eureka, but mainly sunny. Places like Crescent City and even down towards Shelter Cove, for example. Maybe some afternoon cumulus clouds, but still dry through the day on Wednesday. And how about Thursday? Well, Thursday, we see some of that fog return around Humboldt Bay, Eureka, but still looking at some sunshine for your Thursday afternoon as well. Here's the big picture, and this is something I was talking about a little bit earlier with the monsoon moisture. Here's the big ridge of high pressure. There's the center of that high. This is the dome of high pressure. That's the heat expanding into our region I was talking about. But there's also monsoon moisture associated with that. Very typical this time of the year. They see those afternoon thunderstorms over the desert southwest, Arizona, Utah, into Colorado and New Mexico. And a lot of times that even works its way into Southern California. But every once in a while, the flow around that area of high pressure can take that monsoon moisture and work its way northward up the spine of the Sierra in particular, and even parts of the southern Cascades. So watch what happens as we progress through time this week. There's Friday. We're starting to see more of the cloud cover begin to move in. And then by Saturday, you see what's happening? We're starting to see those thunderstorms begin to kind of pop up as we go into Saturday, Sunday, mainly along the spine of the Sierra, working its way northward into the southern Cascades. So I would say that by the weekend, you're talking Lassen, especially eastern Lassen County, Modoc County, and Plumas counties. Otherwise, places like Bernie, for example, no, I don't think you'll see thunderstorms over the weekend. I think you're a little bit too far to the west for that. But then by Monday of next week, we can see that work its way into Siskiyou County and maybe even Trinity County. Now, this is still a long ways out. The timing, the overall intensity of all this, when this flow comes in, it could come in a little bit sooner. It may take a little bit longer. We'll see. But for now, that's what I'm seeing. It looks like, again, you can see where all the moisture is right here. This is dry air, the blues and the browns, right? But as we go through this week, You see how this is working its way northward. This is all that moisture working its way up. Friday, it's working its way up. We're going to start to feel a little bit more in the humidity levels going up a little bit on Friday for the valley. Now, that's not enough to bring any thunderstorms, at least for the valley, but then eventually we can start to see it over spreads, especially over the eastern mountains here. So that's what we have going on for this weekend. And as I mentioned, that'll kind of spread into Siskiyou and Trinity County. I mean, look at Sunday. Still fairly dry for Siskiyou and Trinity County here as we've got those blues. But then you start getting the greens and yellows. That's enough of that moisture for us to maybe squeeze out some showers and possible thunderstorms. All right, so here's a look at your lake levels, and you can see it's still looking at them slowly dropping. This is normal. We need the water, so we start releasing that water from the dams, but still over 100% for all the lakes when we're talking about that historical average. Taking a look at the wave heights for today, they're not going to be all that high, and they may increase a little bit here, especially as you start heading out over the open waters here, but nothing terribly concerning. Your winds will be from the north today at about 5 knots, with those waves in the northwest at 4 feet at about 10 seconds. Some of that patchy morning fog, but a lot of that should burn off later in the day. Here's a look at your neighborhood forecast, sponsored in part by Dignity Health. We've got those temperatures in Trinity County, somewhere in the upper 80s to low 90s, although Mad River, one of the cooler spots, at about 78. And I've got partly cloudy skies for you on Monday for Trinity County. It may take a little bit of time for it to work its way into Trinity County, but we could possibly see those thunderstorms as early as Monday, but probably closer to Tuesday of next week. For the coast, you're looking at dry conditions, mid-60s for the next 7 days, and we take you up north. Temperatures are working their way upward for the inland areas. We're up to about 100 degrees by Thursday and over 100 degrees by the end of the week and this weekend. By the way, those thunderstorms working their way into Trinity County probably won't work their way as far westward as the inland areas for early next week. Siskiyou County, you've got your thunderstorms as early as Monday. They could come a little bit sooner than that, but for now it looks like Monday. And today, no thunderstorms, plenty of sunshine, temperatures starting to work their way up. For Modoc County, yeah, by Saturday, as early as Saturday, but it may come a little bit sooner than that. It may take a little bit longer. So sometime within that Saturday time frame is when we'll start to see that first potential for those thunderstorms. In the eastern mountains, we got 84 in Chester, 90 for Susanville, 88 for Janesville. Same story here. In fact, it may even come a little bit sooner. That may be closer to Friday for Susanville. We'll see. But for now, I'm going to keep it for the weekend going into early next week. Your Dignity Health Valley neighborhood forecast. Temperatures should be in the low 90s for most of us in the valley here, especially to the south. So Chico, you'll top out at about 92 today. But by tomorrow, you're up to close to, if not right around 100 and over 100, about 102 to 103, at least through the first half of the weekend. Temperatures starting to slowly drop as we go into early next week, but still hot. 94 degrees for Redding, 93 for Anderson, 88 for Whiskeytown and Lakehead, 93 for Bella Vista and Palisadro, and 91 for a high today in Red Bluff. Let's take a look at that 7-day forecast for Redding. It is getting downright hot out there, folks. 105 to 106 for Thursday through Sunday. Temperatures starting to drop, but still quite hot on Monday. That's your morning update. I'll be back again at noon. Have yourselves a great morning.
Construction season is well underway in the North State, and we'd like to remind drivers to slow down around work zones. Keep Caltrans workers safe when they're on the job, and remember to be work zone alert when you see the color orange. Remember to pay attention to signs, merge early, avoid distractions, and don't speed. This message is brought to you by Caltrans District 2.